All right, it's story time. My name is Joseph with Hana Entertainment, and the story that I'm here to tell you today is about the making of The Guardians. This is a performance that we just put on 2 weeks ago for a client out in Colorado Springs. This was a large religious organization, and being who I am, I'd love to be able to create a custom experience and a custom story. So this one starts with 7 of us jumping in a car, throwing all of our gear in this car, and traveling out to Colorado Springs to meet up with our violinist. Her name is Karina Donica out of Florida. She flew in to be able to help us with this performance, and this was the first time that I've ever had the opportunity of working with her. And we were connected by the client who has worked with her before and has just had nothing but good stuff to say about her. We also met up with our stunt guy who came out from Vegas to help us with some of our larger flame effects and be part of this experience. And he was able to play the darkness. When we all got together, it really just worked. All of us meshed really, really well together. Those of us coming out from Utah were already very comfortable with each other, very used to performing together. And then adding on these two, it was so much fun having this experience with them. Even on the car ride going out to Colorado Springs, I got into this new software program that I've been having so much fun playing with. You'll see that kind of looping back here on this other screen. It's called For Me if anybody wants to check it out. But really to be able to display in a visual way what has been in my head, and it's not like this just happened from the beginning. This story is something that has evolved from the beginning of working through some of the requests that we got from the client. Those requests being something more hyped up and high energy and group numbers and custom choreography and larger flame effects. And I love seeing this detailed list of what they're hoping their entertainment is going to be like. My only response was, challenge accepted, let's go. So getting there, we ended up having an Airbnb that we had our rehearsals in the following morning after we showed up. And that's where it all started to come together. Everybody free-flowing with ideas, throwing out different things that could work. And for me to be able to help walk people through after the performers were able to see kind of a vision. And really all I cared about was the opening and a couple spots toward the middle of the performance, and then the ending. And so being able to take everybody through that, and to be able to show up and have professionals that are just lasered in, focused, and committed to making this the best experience possible, not only for the client, but for us too, because we're doing this because we love it and we want to have fun. But having that all come together with the rehearsal and then heading over to the performance location, it was supposed to be outside, rolling with the punches and getting it moved indoors last minute because of rain, was something that we got word of the night before. So showing up and kind of sight unseen, wanting to make the best of whatever this new setup was going to be like. We got there and it was better than we could have even hoped for. We had to lose the stage. It was a carpeted stage. Safety is always our top priority. We want the client and all of the audience members to never have a worry in their minds at all when we were handling fire 15 to 20 feet in front of them, and for everybody to feel safe. And so getting rid of that stage, going down to just the cement flooring that we had, ended up being perfect for us. Getting the rig set up, getting all the lighting dialed in, and making sure that our audio was going to be solid for the performance. That was what our dress rehearsals consist of. We had a break after that, just to come back and then re-enter the space more in show mode, like prepped, ready to go. There's nothing more that we can possibly prepare for as we get into this performance, with all of the audience members having their carnival or their circus experience. And that's what they asked for. They asked for kind of our mid-sized circus style show. And now we're starting the show, and we get through introductions, we get through opening the show, and this couldn't have played out any better. Dream come true for me. So what this story ended up being, what it became and turned into, was the battle between the light and the darkness, or the good and the bad. With Karina Donica, Karina playing the light. She's wearing a full all-white silk dress as she is playing the violin, and through most of our show she was accompanying our songs, enhancing them, adding this violin element to almost every single one of our songs. She opened up the show with her own piece. It's called The Painter. It was composed by her brother David Donica and played by her for our performance. And then the darkness gets introduced, and he comes in and chases her off the stage, and her and her fire guardians. Her fire guardians are who came onto the stage with her and were circling around her as her protectors. These fire guardians were able to show through their movement and through dance this story of protecting the light and being her support. And then following that, the darkness is introduced into the story and comes on with all of his stunts and high intensity movements, and effectively chases her off the stage. Through some of the other solo numbers, like Tara's performance, the darkness comes creeping in. He has this giant long sword, this fire sword, tries to approach her. Karina comes from her spot on the stage to join up with Tara, and the two of them dueling with the darkness and get him to retreat and to exit the stage, just to have him go around and find another angle to approach, to come at Karina and Tara in this story of getting the darkness to kind of stay at bay. We proceed through the rest of the performance kind of in the same fashion, just to have at the beginning of our finale, the darkness turns to light, turns into one of her protectors, or into one of her fire guardians, and is able to escort her on to the stage, down the middle of some giant flame effects, flames flying everywhere. Was one of the most dramatic ways of bringing Karina onto the stage to begin what we call chaos. We call it chaos because really it's organized chaos. It's all hands on deck, all the fire, the aerialists, acrobatics going, everything that we can throw at you in that last number. That's what chaos is, and a lot of other people would call it like the grand finale. And so to see this turn, this shift with the darkness to now become somebody who is taking care of her, is something that was a lot of fun to be able to see, and more so seeing it after the fact, because where I'm at, being in it, is a little bit difficult to see and to be able to enjoy. But the way that we were able to portray this to the audience, so that's our story. It was so much fun to be able to create this. For me, I am now tying it into my last 10 months of my life. What I didn't know going into this, I didn't realize until probably the week before showtime, is that we were creating this story of what I had been going through for the last 10 months, and what I'm happy to be able to say have happened in my life, and use it as a catalyst, use it as a turning point for me personally, to be able to show up not just for others but for myself more. It's interesting to see the times in our life where we all run into something that affects us in such a huge way. We have two choices. We can let that darkness swallow us up. We can become the darkness, or we can really dig in and do our own work and get to the point where we are able to manage this internal struggle, this internal conflict inside of us, and to be able to call on our fire guardians, to be able to call on whatever it is. It doesn't have to always be a person. It can be books, it could be audios, it could be a therapist, it could be so many different things. It takes a lot of humility to be able to admit when you need help, to be able to speak up and get vocal about needing something, needing anything. I think that's one thing that's so hard for so many of us to do. So for me, this message is about mental health, and it's something that we all really need to take serious. Our mental health and our emotional health is what really affects how we're able to show up for those that we love and care about in our lives. That starts with ourselves. One of the hardest things for me, it's been a huge struggle of mine for years. It's something that I'm already aware of. It's something that I know about myself. But the constant go, 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 it gets to the point where we forget about ourselves. Sometimes I can be working from sun up until sundown, and 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night comes around, and I don't feel great at all. And then I realize I'm hungry. But the biggest thing that I have been able to learn is to be able to make myself and my needs a priority. So again, this message being about mental health, being able to tie that into this story, into the Guardians, really for me is about what's going on inside of all of us. So if you know of anybody in your life that is struggling with mental or emotional health, there are so many things that we can do. There are resources available. Reach out to me if you're struggling. I, from here on out, will always be a major advocate for mental health and taking care of ourselves first, so we can show up and relationship better for those around us. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for sharing this.